In this class, we're going to be using the JVC camera. You guys will be out in the field shooting things, or you'll be out on your own shooting things. And so you really need to be able to understand the camera, because you won't have me always over your shoulder to help you do your shots. Now, of course, the JVC is a great camera for us to use in this class because you've just come from Production 1, where you've used its kind of cousin JVC. So much of the same things are on the JVC that you learned in Production 1 are here. They're just in a little smaller confine. So when we're taking a look at the camera, it's the same sort of process that we have before, right? We have the auto white balance at the beginning, at the front of the camera. Again, to white balance, you would zoom in on something that's white. You would have and press the auto white balance button to white balance it to the correct color temperature. Remember, color temperature is important because it defines what white and other colors are. The lower the color temperature, the more redder, the more tungsten sort of light that you're going to get. The warmer the temperature, the more blues they're going to be. That's more outdoor. So usually we're looking between like 3,600 and about 5,000, 6,000 Kelvin for color temperatures. Remember, on here there are slots. There's an A slot, a B slot, and a preset. So you can manually preset what your white balance is through the menu itself. You can also just select A and B if you're trying to do it through the auto white balance. Gain is right here. In front of that, gain allows you to adjust the image sensor to how much light it's going to get. Usually when we're shooting, we want to be shooting on low. If for some reason you need to have higher gain, that probably means that you need to have more light, because you've probably also maxed out your aperture, and it probably means that you also maxed out your shutter, so you don't want things to go wrong there. So those are the things on the front. The menu is in here. So if you come in and open the viewfinder, you can use the menu. Most of the things that you're going to be using are here in the camera process. That's where you can use focus assist. I wouldn't recommend it, because unless you're used to those lines, I would just manually focus. Remember, to focus, you zoom all the way in. The rocker, there's a couple different rockers for zooming all the way in. You can use the rocker here on the LCD panel, or the rockers on the other side of the camera where your hands would normally be. We also have Zebra if you need help seeing whites and blacks and contrast. Zebra really comes into effect when you have whites at 75% or 100% capacity, so that way you know that you're not overexposing an image, and that's why we use Zebra. Neon Gamma are all and Color Matrix are all sort of advanced features. Again, here's where your preset color temperature is that you can change. And there's where you can set what you want for your gain levels. And there's color bars if you need color bars. So those are pretty much the main things in the camera menu that you need to see. The other thing that's important for you to see is file format, which this is going to be set for MP4 because that's what I have it recording as right now. You have different record modes here, so you can choose what size image that you're going to record. Again, you probably don't need to change this. This will probably be more important when you get into things like DSLRs, where you might be shooting in 4K or 1080, or you might be shooting proxy files, in standard def, those sorts of things. And then finally, you get into media settings, which I can't show you because we're in actually recording. And there's where your audio monitors are if you need to do audio monitors. And that's also where you'll format the cards when you need to format the cards. The cards themselves are located in a little pouch right under here. So that's where you can access A and B card. If you need to switch between what's recording on which card, there's the A-B button right there. It switches and tells you, if you look here on the top right corner, it tells you which card is selected. As you can see, A is outlined because I'm recording on card A right now. On the back of the camera, you'll see that the viewfinder here, that if you want to use it, it kind of doesn't lift. If you need it to lift, it is a pull out and a lift up. So that way you can shoot different ways like this, or of course if you need to get it to your battery, you can. Here's where you'll find how to adjust the iris. Here there's three things. There's the iris, the shutter, the AE, and its wheel to actually do something. So you press iris, and then you turn the wheel. So right now I'm going down and I'm turning the f-stop to 5.6, and I'll bump it back up, and then I'll turn the shutter, and I'll change it to 1/250. Remember, for the most part, when shooting video, you're going to leave those on at 1/60 because that's just easy for video editing purposes. When you're doing still photography, it really makes a difference. And you'll see if you take this camera and I put this down under, oops, wrong direction. If I put this under 3.75 and I run my hand across it, you'll see how grainy that shot is, right? And how slow it is because it takes, remember, it's taking all that time to actually close the shutter. And if I do the same thing, we'll say over 100, you can see how smooth my hand is over it. So those are things that we look at when we're doing shutter. When you see f-stop and the shutter on the screen, that means that they're manually set. If you have them like here, they'll actually be in auto. So if you don't see the actual things, it's set for auto. So if you need to manually set it, the reason why you might want to manually set these things is because the camera might, if somebody's walking in front of it, like with an autofocus, or with maybe there's some light coming in from a window or reflection, all of a sudden the camera is going to do something to counteract what you just saw, whether that be the light or someone moving, and you don't always want the camera to react. You want a steady shot. So my recommendation is always shoot in manual. Back here is where the battery is. To battery release, there's a button here where you press and you slide to the right and pull out. To put it in, you just push it in and push it to the left. Those are your main things. Here is your audio. It's clipped in here where we have the shotgun mic. You can record other pieces of audio equipment to it. However, for most of your assignments, this microphone will work fine, or you can get a Zoom or something like that to help record audio. So these are the points. The other things that I want to point out are the neutral density filter. Again, neutral density filter is kind of like a sunglasses for your camera. It allows you to actually close, it puts a filter down, which allows you to have more and more ability to use your f-stops because it's actually shading the camera for you when you're in high light. And then finally over here at the front there is the open and close, which actually opens and closes the lens. There isn't a lens cap on this, it's already built in. The last thing I do want to point out is that you'll find this ring here. This ring is interchangeable. I like to leave it for focus so that when I zoom in I have something to focus on, but you can change it to zoom by using this button here. By flipping that switch, it makes that ring either focus or zoom. Unless you're going to do like a fast zoom, I recommend always using the rocker, and then that way you always have focus available for you to do. This is the basis of the camera that we are using in this class. If you have questions, find me on Teams, ask away. This is a great introductory camera towards moving on to more advanced cameras and DSLRs. They have very similar traits, but they are also different. So feel free to ask questions, find me on Teams.